Hello everyone and welcome to YMCA of San Francisco's Classrooms for All. My name is Alex and I am going to be your STEAM instructor. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. And today we are celebrating Women's History Month, and we're going to talk about Amelia Earhart, one of the first females to fly an airplane. And we are going to recreate our own airplanes and create a launcher for our paper airplanes. All right, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and take off my mask. And let's go over what we need for today. What you'll want is one piece of paper. I'm going to use just a plain piece of printer paper, a stapler, one paper clip, one rubber band, and some cardboard, maybe some scraps or pieces off of a box that you might have from a delivery you received at home. And you'll want some scissors. And that is all you'll need for this activity today. Isn't that awesome? All right, so before we get started, I would love to talk about Amelia Earhart and why we are talking about her for Women's History Month. So this month, we want to highlight some impactful women from all over the world who have made a huge difference in the world today. And so Amelia Earhart, although not alive today, so we think, she was one of the first females to fly an airplane. And when she was a kid, her father took her on an airplane, and initially she didn't know what she wanted to do with her life, but once she got in that airplane, she knew that she wanted to be a pilot. So she took pilot lessons and learned how to fly a plane and bought her own plane with her own money eventually and learned how to fly. So from there, she became one of the first female aviators to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. So in 1928, that was so long ago, way before I was born or your parents were born or maybe even your grandparents were born, Amelia Earhart was flying an airplane across the Atlantic Ocean, which had never been done by a woman until her. And so she was a pioneer for all women in a career that mostly men were doing. So not a lot of women were flying planes at that time. So this was a huge step for women in entering careers such as aviation, like Amelia Earhart. And since then, since that trip on across the Atlantic Ocean, Amelia went by herself later on and became the first woman to cross Hawaii to California, to fly to Hawaii from California, which was a big deal back then as well. Nowadays, we fly all over the country, all over the world, and don't think anything of it. But back then, this was a huge feat for mankind, especially for women. And then eventually, Amelia decided she wanted to do a world flight all around the world, and somewhere along the way, she went missing. And to this day, nobody knows what happened to Amelia Earhart or where her plane even landed. So it's a mystery for us for the ages, and maybe we can make up our own hypothesis of what might have happened to Amelia. I think she might have found a foreign land and decided to live there and create her own place. So if you have any ideas, I'd love to know more. All right, so today, in honor of Amelia Earhart, we are going to make a paper airplane, a classic fun activity that you can do at home. And we are going to create a launcher to make our paper airplanes fly even farther than we can make them fly with just our own two hands. All right, let's get started. So I know there are so many ways we can make a paper airplane. I am just going to show a simple one today, and you can go ahead and use any type of paper airplane that you want to create for this. So it does not have to be the one I am making today. So that's what I love about this. Science, you can make it about anything. You can design it your own way. But today we're going to make a paper airplane a simple way with me, or a more challenging way in the way that you might know at home. So what we're going to do is take our white piece of paper and fold it in half, hot dog style, or long ways, I guess you can call it. In school, we'd always call it hot dog and hamburger style. So we're going to fold it in half, hot dog style. Just like that. All right. The next thing we're going to do is open it back up. And we're gonna look at that crease that we made. You can use any side that you want. We're gonna open up our piece of paper and fold the top corners towards that edge or that crease that we made. So I'll show you too on the screen. So that way you know exactly what to do. So I just folded that top corner down and aligned that edge with that middle fold that we have there. And I'm going to do that same thing to the other side. And I'll bring it closer to zoom in so you can see even better. I like to call it the top of a house. If you're ever drawing a house, a simple house, a little tip. So we folded those top two corners and aligned them with the edge or that middle fold that we made right in the middle of our paper. So once we have our folded top corners down, we're going to go ahead and fold them in half with the folded corners in. We're going to fold it back in half, hot dog style again, just like that. So my folds are now on the inside of my airplane. And now it kind of looks somewhat of an airplane, but not quite. The next step we're going to do is start to form the wings. So what we're going to do is take each flap right up here and fold this point down until it reaches along the edge of our bottom of our paper airplane. And fold that all the way like that. So we had our two folds right here. I folded them in so that way we created this kind of funky shape right here. The next thing we're going to do is fold this top flap down so that it aligns with that bottom edge of our paper, and we're going to crease that all the way across to make this cool shape right here. And we'll do that to the opposite side as well. So do that same fold on the opposite side, just like that. All right, so you could leave it like this, although it will look kind of funky. So the next part that we're going to do is to fold down these wings right here in the back. So what I'm going to do is take one side, and just like the way we did that last one, I'm going to fold it down and in half so that it lines up with the edge of the bottom of our paper airplane. We have it like this, and if we were to open up our airplane, it wouldn't look like an airplane. It would look like this funky shape. So we're going to go ahead and fold these down again. So I took this one flap and folded it down like that. And folded it basically in half so that that edge aligns with the bottom of our airplane. Now we're going to do that same thing on the other side. So go ahead and fold that one down in half, like so. And it's going to get a little hard at the point. You want to keep your paper airplane pointed. So now you kind of have this skinny, pointy, triangular shape. And when you open up those flaps, now we have what looks like a paper airplane. Pretty cool. So before we do anything like this, we're going to make a launcher with those cardboard pieces. So put your airplane off to the side. You can add different elements to your airplane too. So it doesn't have to stay like this. You can fold up some of the flip of the edges here of the wings to kind of flip them upwards. So maybe it kind of makes a different type of trajectory for our airplane today. But today we're going to create a launcher. So when we see airplanes flying, or if you're ever in an airplane, you notice that the runway is super long. And that means that the airplane has to get enough momentum and generate enough lift, which is upward force from the air underneath to lift it up, along with the engines and things like that that help it really move and go fast. But it needs lift. And so today we don't have a long runway, so we're going to make our own launcher that's going to act as a catapult to overcome that weight of our airplane and help it fly. So when airplanes or real airplanes are out there, there's so much weight to them, right? Because of gravity, and then just how much mass they have and how many people go inside of them. And so you need enough lift. So today we're gonna pretend that our airplane needs more lift than maybe it really does if it's a piece of paper. But we're going to give it a catapult to launch it farther and give it that extra lift to overcome that gravity that's pulling it down. So we're gonna put that off to the side and grab our pieces of cardboard. So this is about a pretty decent size, so you'll wanna get a square shape of cardboard about this size. And this one will be our base to our launcher. This is a really, really simple launcher, and you can do this in a number of ways. So I might show you a second way to do it afterwards that's really even more simple. So the next thing we're going to do is cut some strips of cardboard. We're gonna want them to be decently thick, and we're only gonna wanna cut 2. So go ahead and cut 2 strips of cardboard about this size from your extra sheet of cardboard. And these are going to slide onto our launcher base. So we're gonna wanna make sure we cut a little slit down our piece of cardboard here. So what I'm gonna do is cut straight down the middle, about halfway up, or a little less than halfway up my strip of cardboard. And I'm gonna go ahead and slide that onto one side of my cardboard sheet. Just like this, so that it looks like that. So we just added one strip, and we're gonna do the same thing to that second one and place it right over here. And we'll want it to be kind of wide because our paper airplane's gonna fly through that space. So go ahead and do that same cut right in the middle. Maybe a little bit higher for mine. And we'll place that right onto the other side of our cardboard base. All right, here comes the fun part. We're going to want to cut these down a little bit. So these are too long for us, so we're gonna cut them a little bit closer, maybe about 1 inch away from the base of our cardboard piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those tops off of those added sides that we put on there. Just like that. All right, the last things that we're going to do is we're gonna cut some extra slits, so 2 more slits, 1 on each of these, and you can take them off to do this too, and I will come over and show you what that looks like as well. But what I'm gonna do is cut a slit at the top sides of both of those cardboards. So if you can see from my cardboard piece, I cut a little bit into the top area. So this is the bottom of our base here. This is the top part of our launcher. We're gonna wanna have enough of this cut out so we can slide our rubber band on it. So it should look like this. And you can decorate this however you want it to look. All right, the last thing that we're going to do with this launcher piece is we're going to place our rubber band. So this might be a tricky part for some of us. We're going to make sure it's stretchy enough to fit all the way around. But what we're going to do is slide one side of each of that rubber band through those slits that we made just now in that top of our cardboard. So go ahead and slide that through and then stretch it over to the other side. Where mine's trying to escape a little bit, and we'll stretch that over to the other side as well. And then, to keep it all in place, you might want to use some tape or some glue. Mine's trying to be tricky today. But we'll want to place it also underneath those strips of cardboard that we have there as well. So that it looks like this. Mine's being very, very stubborn with me, so hopefully we get it together. But you should have rubber band around the bottom parts of our cardboard. If yours is being flimsy like this, you can always hold it as you launch it later when I show you the last part. or you can tape these down so that they don't move, and then you have a very sturdy launcher. Mine is very flimsy today, so it's causing a very difficult time for me, but we're going to have a very fun time regardless of if it stays in place or not. All right, so I'm going to put this down over here. It might move around a little bit. The last thing that we want to do before we launch our paper airplane is we're going to place our paper clip. So mine's a little bent right now. And what we'll want to do is place our paper clip, let's see, slide it onto the front tip of our paper airplane. So what you'll want to do is slide on your paper clip. So you might have a hard time with this part, and that's okay. I have a hard time with it every time. But you'll want to make sure that there is a bit of your paper clip, the bottom angle is pointing down. So it's not going to stay in place just like this. That's where our stapler comes in. So you can place that paper clip down in between the middle of our airplane at the tip, and then you'll go ahead and staple it in place. So you'll find that open space between. So be very careful and staple it together. You'll want to add your paper clip with the end hanging out so that it kind of hooks onto our launcher to help us really launch our paper airplane. And inside you'll see that my paper clip is right there tucked inside and stapled in, so it's not moving anytime soon. The last thing to do with my finicky launcher is to launch our airplane. So make sure you're launching this in a space where no one is standing in front of you. And what you'll want to do is hook your airplane tip onto that rubber band, and then we'll count to 3 and see how far it can go. I'm going to make sure this doesn't get in the way. And you'll want to angle it, so you'll want to launch it at an angle. So that's how we get lift here. So if we don't do it, oh my gosh, mine just fell apart. So yours might fall apart a little bit. Definitely secure it with some tape. If you have duct tape at home, I would do that. And then we are going to launch. 3, 2, 1. Launch our airplane off into space or off into the sky. Mine just launched into the wall here. So that is one way you can launch yours, or you can do an even simpler way by grabbing a marker or a pencil and just your rubber band. I'm going to grab that marker. You can loop your rubber band around the top of your marker and then hook that same part, but you'll want to make sure you're giving yourself a good angle. And without launching it at anyone, let's see how far. I'm gonna go stand, see what happens. Let's see. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And it launches even better than the way I would have launched it with my own 2 hands. So that is how you make a paper airplane launcher at home with some materials that you have right there in your recycling bin, and with a little rubber band and a paper clip and a stapler and some scissors that you have right at home. So thank you all so much for joining us for our Women's History Month special, learning about Amelia Earhart and creating our own airplanes. And this one I will dedicate to Amelia today, wherever she is or wherever she went, and I hope that she's still flying around wherever she is. So thank you all so much for joining me and learning about Amelia Earhart and creating your very own paper airplane and paper airplane launcher that will make our flights even smoother moving forward. So thank you all so much, and I will see you all in another class. If you would like to join us for more classes, you can go to ymcasf.org/classroomsforall. We'd love to see you all there. Thank you.
Did you know that YMCA of San Francisco never closed? When shelter-in-place happened, we could no longer provide in-person programming. We quickly shifted to provide youth and family programming virtually. As early as April, we started providing on-demand activities in our YMCA of San Francisco YouTube channel.
For this video, we're going to be making a geodesic dome.
Today, we're going to be making a hovercraft. The science around this activity is really awesome.
In addition, we have a regular schedule of activities for our youth and families to join live. We feature read-alouds, yoga, family Zumba, arts and crafts, drawing clubs, and more. So don't miss out on our virtual youth and family offerings. Visit www.ymcasf.org for more info and class schedules.